may be times when you've strayed from the path that you feel is more in line with the truth. But with you always I'll stay. My love, it never will falter. The blood that flows there in your heart beats no proof. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. Let me hear you sing it now. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. One more time. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. I release and let it go. I am whole, perfect and complete. I am whole, and so it is. I am saved in the heart of God. I am saved, and so it is. I am one with the thing itself. We are one, and so it is. I am whole, perfect and complete. I am whole, and so it is. I am saved in the heart of God. I am saved, and so it is. I am one with the thing itself. We are one, and so it is. I am whole, perfect and complete. I am whole, and so it is. And so it is.
Wow. Darlene, thank you so much. Hi. Hi. Hi, everybody. How are you? Yes, exactly. Hi, everybody. Welcome. And good morning. And welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living San Jose, where we are transforming lives, building dreams, and revealing love. And where all that we ask is that you stay open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. Welcome home. My name is Susan Overland. I'm the assistant minister here, and it is my great pleasure to also introduce Debbie Slayton, our practitioner of the day this morning. And I also want to let you know that if it's your first time with us, we're really grateful that you chose to spend your Sunday morning here. I'd like to invite you after service to stop by our concierge desk right out on the other side of that window. Pick up a welcome packet, sign our guest book, have a cup of coffee, and maybe meet a new friend. We're really happy you're here and you matter to us. I'm distracted because I have to tell you something. Not only is Darlene singing up here for the first time this morning, but she wrote that last song. I had to say that. I just had to confess, because I know I was supposed to follow a script, but I didn't realize she wrote it until I was on my way up here, and I went, oh my gosh, she wrote that. So today's flowers, we have 2 flower dedications today, and the first one is from the Friends of Dawn Renz. I think that's what's up on the slide, right? In honor of Dawn and our beloved Dawn and her family. And the second flower dedication is from Paul Witt to his beautiful wife of 23 years, Lucy Witt. Happy anniversary, you guys. We love celebrating being in community with one another, so if you could take a moment and just say hi to somebody sitting next to you, maybe someone you don't know. Thank you, everyone. We begin our Sunday services by having an experience of silence. So our beautiful singers will lead us again in a chant, and then we will experience 2 minutes of silence. Please silence your mobile devices at this time. Thank you.
And if you'd like to join us, I don't know if it's on screen. But okay, we're going to do the last phrase, the I am one. So if you all want to sing, we're going to do it 3 times, and then into the silence. I am one with the thing itself. We are one, and so it is. I am one with the thing itself. We are one, and so it is.
if you will join me. I know that there is one God permeating this entire universe, entire space that we're in right in this moment. And that thing itself, it is in me, and I claim that it is in everyone here, everything here. And as we sip into this season of the trees shedding things, getting ready for new, let us take this moment to shed anything that isn't ours, that we let these winds blow through us, knowing that God is working us in this space. God is claiming us to be new every moment, and we tap into that strength. We tap into that strength that God has given us, the grace and the courage to go forward with anything we need in our lives. We surrender it here right now and claim how great our life is going to be and how great our life is, because we are choosing to live the life of faith. I am so thankful, God, for this space, for these people, for this ministry, for this religious science that has allowed us to be freer, happier. I'm so blessed and grateful, and I release this prayer into the law where I know it bounces around the stars and returns to us, because God's got us, and so it is. Affirmation. I said this time I wasn't going to forget it. Okay. Prayer does that. Come on. Okay, please join me in the affirmation. My inner guide keeps me on the pathway of life and directs me at all times to that which is right and best. I shall never be without this witness of the Spirit, for I believe in it and accept it as the great companion of the soul.
So the theme here today is suffering and the end of suffering. And I think we people, at least myself and most of the people I know, we are really, really good at holding on to our suffering. And this is a song about letting go.
Can I just let go? Can I just let go?
If I can let go, the darkness will fade. If I can just let go, there's light all around me, but the pain in my heart has kept me holding on. But I feel like letting go. I'm ready to run, and I'm ready to leap into what is real. I got a sweet invitation.
A mandate of ecstasy.
Let go of your will.
Drop your tools and follow me.
I am the light within you. It's time to be free.
I feel like letting go. Let go, let God, let go.
I
Feel like letting go. Let go, let God, let go.
If I can let go, heaven's at hand
Right now.
New life is awaiting while I'm rearranging these old facts of mine. But I'm holding on, my heart is aching, and nothing to go through. It's the sweet invitation.
A mandate of ecstasy.
Don't hold it any longer.
Drop your tools and follow me.
I won't abandon my vision. It's time to release.
Feel like letting go. Let go,
Darlene Amadon Brent. Good morning. My name is Michelle Jordan. I'm your Insight Talk person for the day. Am I committed? Am I committed? Am I committed? It was Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting in the parking lot after attending 2 meetings here now that I'm the new musical director of San Jose Center for Spiritual Living. So like I was saying, I was sitting in the parking lot on Tuesday, reflecting after attending 2 meetings here as the new musical director. And yes, Minister of Music, thank you, beloved. And I was sitting there just, digesting and, taking in all of the nuances of being at the center. So I called my practitioner. And while calling her, the phone continued to drop. And sometimes on my phone, on these smartphones, music will start playing. So when we finally did connect, she said, "Am I committed?" That's what I'm supposed to give you. That's what I heard. So, am I committed? Is what I've been pondering for the past few days. I imagine since Tuesday. And in the Religious Science Church where I was raised, East Bay Church of Religious Science, we call an Inside Talk a testimony. So my grandfather was the Venerable William Hastings Kwautawia Bright Davies, an Episcopalian priest from Accra, Ghana, Africa. My father was the founding co-minister of the church by the side of the road in Berkeley, California. And I just recently found out in October that I passed my ministerial exam, which allows me to now take 5 classes to prepare for the intensive to graduate in 2014, along with the rest of my classmates. So I ponder, am I committed? Because when I got the information, my jaw dropped on the floor because I had convinced myself during the time span that we had to wait to get the results from June 29th to October something that I had failed. I mean, I really was working that story. Am I committed? Am I committed? Do I need to be committed? I also just digress for a moment to express a heartfelt thanks and gratitude for a plea that Reverend David put out for me for the purchase of a MacBook Pro. So I thank this community for your generosity. I was able to purchase that computer and sit for the test and pass it. So during that time span, that feels like a transformational period, not only did I take the test, think I failed, released a job or a music position at East Bay Church of Religious Science after 20 years of being in that community, accepted a position here as musical director, and then found out that I passed the test, had a birthday, and then wondered, am I committed? Am I willing to be all of those things that we envision on this Global Heart wall? So now that I've had that bit of time, I am recommitted, and in my spirit, although there's an excitement about the birthing of a new ministry, because I have no idea what it's going to look like, because I tend to change a lot. So as I reflected and really pondered this question, I noticed on the same side, on the flip side of the excitement, there's some fear and some like, whoa. And then I came across a quote by Martha Graham. Ah, some of you are familiar. She says there's a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because we laugh because last service somebody sneezed at the same time. And I got distracted and had to go back and tell you again. There's a vitality, a life force, an energy, a quickening that is translated through you into action. And because there is only one of you in all time, this expression is unique. And if you block it, it will never exist through any other medium, and it will be lost. The world will not have it. It is not your business to determine how good it is, nor how valuable, nor how it compares with other expressions. It is my business to keep it yours, clearly and directly, to keep the channel open. So am I committed? Do I feel like letting go? I ask you to join me in the journey of yes, I am committed.
Is Dave DeLulo in the house? Someone get him. What did you say? Well, thank you. For those of you who are live streaming, she said, "You look hot." I needed that. That was answered prayer. Because I was having a bad hair day. I'm still having a bad hair day this morning. But I was thinking of Roger Aldi. He was the assistant minister at the Burbank Church, where I was a member while I was in ministerial school. And Roger Aldi was bald. And I remember saying to him once, I'm having a bad hair day. And he said, I wish I was having a hair day. And I'm wearing this tie today. This tie was a gift from Max and Susan Overland a couple of years ago for Christmas. But I'm wearing it in honor of Reverend Susan because on Friday night she was ordained. Now, before you applause, let me tell you what that means. What that means is that she's no longer test driving ministry. She's been test driving it for 2 years. Now, we as an organization and as a denomination licensed her 2 years ago, as we license all ministers who complete a particular course of study, and after they pass their exams and such, we don't automatically ordain for life people who graduate. We put them in the proving grounds for 2 years where they get to marry and bury and counsel, or as we say, they get to hatch, patch, match, and dispatch people. So after 2 years of hatching, patching, matching, and dispatching people, she then sat in front of a group of her peers in which she was granted the right to move forward. And then ordination is the ceremony, not unlike a wedding, at which Reverend Susan takes vows in front of all of you to always and forever do her best to remember, no matter what's going on in the outer world, there's a power to which everything is possible. And her job, more than anyone else, is to remember that and to practice it. So she did that. She stood in front of all of you, and now she's officially and forever ordained a minister of religious science, Reverend Susan Overland. Dave DeLulo, he left. Okay. Elvis has left the building. Would somebody be willing to tell Dave that I'm making a public proclamation thanking him specifically, because for the last 8 years, he has created a foundation upon which today's music emerged. Why today is so important is we've been praying, literally. We have been treating, spiritual mind treatment and affirmative prayer. We've been casting spells. We've been doing all kinds of juju, or as Mauricio would say, yu-yu. We've done lots of yu-yu. He actually said that the other day, do some yu-yu. I said, what? I know, he's Mexican. He says yu-yu, not juju. But he likes Indiana Jones, because Indiana Jones drives a Jello Jeep. I am not making that up. Living with him is awesome. It's like living with Ricky Ricardo. Oh, but more handsome. I know, and straight women everywhere are wishing me dead. I've seen it. I know this about you.
They're wishing him dead too.
Yeah. One person says that. Thank you. Good Lord help me. Oh, so Dave has been creating a standard of excellence in our music such that he could hand off the professional musicians to go back to their work wherever they are, and that our new musical director, Michelle, can open the floor for in-house musicians. And today is the first day that I recall that we have entirely Center for Spiritual Living musicians from beginning to end. Michelle Jordan, thank you, thank you, thank you. Testimony. So Reverend Susan is someone I think about every day, literally every day, not just because I'm blessed to work with her. And working with her is almost always a joy. Yeah, I know she says the same. I know. She said it in public on Friday night. But Reverend Susan Overland, she's taken on ministry in such a way that it's an example for me to take on my life. And I invite you to do the same with your life. I've watched her, that ministry for her isn't just a profession, something that she clocks into and then does her work and then clocks out and goes back to being whatever it is that she might be if she were not a minister. But a minister for her is a way of life. It's the way she takes on her life. And it's the way she takes on her life, which is her marriage and her household and her dogs and her kids and her grandbaby. It's the way she takes on life. And why I think of Reverend Susan every day, and I'm not kidding, I really do. In my building, there are 2 staircases. I live in a high-rise condominium building, and I love to use the stairs rather than the elevator. What I notice going down the stairs, though, is something that I've noticed in virtually every building in the United States that has an interior stairwell. When you get to the ground floor, if there is a basement and a staircase that goes to that basement, there is a metal apparatus that is springed that is always closed like a gate, so that if you are in the dark or in a smoky stairwell and you need to get out, if you're holding on to the rails for sight and then you hit some barrier, that barrier exists to tell you, do not go farther, because beyond here is danger. That's why it exists. Now, every day I walk down the stairs and I open that gate because my car is parked even below. But it requires conscious opening to go into the depths wherein my car exists. Reverend Susan, for me, is that gate. In ministry, she's taken on that gate. That gate is always saying, do not go here. If you've ever counseled with her, you'll know what I'm talking about. You can tell her what's up for you. She will lead you to other avenues. She'll lead you to safety. She'll lead you to sunlight. She'll lead you to brightness. She'll lead you to sweetness. She'll even lead you to inner struggle and turmoil. But she will also stand guard. Do not go beyond here unless you intend to. I'm very grateful, and we are very fortunate to have her in this spiritual community, really fortunate. She could get a job at twice the pay with half the work and not have to work with me. But maybe I'm her penance. And I'm okay with that because we're the blessed ones. Last night I was at the performance of the new Cirque du Soleil show called Amaluna. And it's coming to San Jose soon. Right now it's in San Francisco. And in the beginning, if you've ever seen a Cirque du Soleil show, then you'll know that the cast members move about the audience in the very beginning. It's a way of distracting and getting people real excited, and it works. And this particular cast, Amaluna, are no different than others. They're running around and they're stealing people's popcorn, and everyone is having a good time. And they're running around with these large peacock feathers when no one's looking. They're tickling people and they're hiding and tickling and then hiding, kind of like God. You know, it sort of tickles you and then... Then the lights dimmed and the spotlight hit a woman standing in center stage, and she was giving us the safety spiel, as you need to. She said, should an emergency occur, there's an exit there and 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 there. But should an emergency occur, stay calm. And the room giggled. And she goes, oh, no. I want you to stay calm. If an emergency occurs, everybody. That was good in the front. Anybody else here? And you at home, try this too. Should an emergency occur, stay calm. And although it was cute and funny, to hear 2,452 people, because I counted them. I've got a little bit of the Rain Man living in me. To hear 2,452 people in a blue and gold tent at AT&T Park parking lot is an experience that I'll not soon forget. Although it was sweet and inspiring too to hear that many people, at the same time I was having a spiritual revelation in this room. We were being told where the exits are. There's an exit, there's an exit, there's an exit. A lot of us, though, are looking for the entrance. I want the way in. I want the way into better living. I want the way into the experience of God. I want the way in to abundance so that I can pay my bills. I want the way in to a better waistline and better sex. I want the way into peaceful living. I want the way into a government website for affordable health care that works. I want the way in somewhere. But while I was listening to this beautiful woman in yellow telling 2,452 people how to telling us where the exits are, I was realizing she's spot on. We're looking for the way in, but the way in is actually the way out. If I want the way into God, then it's out there in my world. It actually shows up in the way that I show up. It has to show up in how I treat my fellow employees. It has to show up in the way that I am with people on 280 and Highway 87. It has to show up really while I'm standing in line at Bank of America or while I'm having a cup of coffee at Pete's. If I want the way into God, then it has to show up in the way out of the world. Seriously. I have learned that God's not going to show up. I've been trying. Maybe you've been trying too. I've been trying for God's customer service line. I've been trying to get them to answer the phone, and they don't. Do you know what I mean? We keep throwing out prayers hoping that they're listening to their messages. I had a profound revelation, and that is that the things that I want in life always show up either inside me as a revelation or they show up in the presence of another person. Like if I want I want that house. Well, the way that house is answered is through a person who approves my loan and lets me sign the document. Or if I want to have that relationship, it shows up with a real person other than the fantasy person that's with me. Or it shows up. If I want to have healing, then sometimes it shows up in the form of a nutritionist or a physician or an alternative healthcare physician. But the things that I want really show up in the presence of another person. And that's because the thing itself is having an experience of itself through other people and you and me at the same time. So we look so far away. We're trying to find this God in the cosmos about which Debbie prayed about, which was perfect when she talked about it bouncing off, the prayer bouncing off of planets and stars. But we look so far for reality when really it's right in front of us every day. But we miss it because we've got a whole litany of complaints about it. See, we miss God's holiness because we're bitching and moaning and complaining and griping. We're measuring and negating and judging I don't know about you, but I've got a whole stack of cards, numbers 1 through 10, that I pull out. They're figuratively in my head. You know, this coffee, 3. This coffee, 7. This day, 2. This day it's raining, 6. This, fill in the blank. We got these scorecards constantly about how it should be better, or thank God it's not worse. We're never really present in the moment. Do you know what I mean by that? In the moment. See, God will show up in the moment, but we don't stay in the moment because our lives are really never in the moment. Our lives are only about the future, how it should be, how it ought to be, how it's supposed to be, how it better be, or the past, how it shouldn't have been, how it could have been, how it wasn't, how it ought to have been. But the present is where it will show up. So we want an experience of the thing itself, but we won't have an experience of the thing itself because we're too busy having an experience about how it's not showing up. And I'm totally talking to myself. I am preaching to me right now. And I'm really glad that you're here to bear witness to me preaching to me. It's kind of like we are all right now in, it's like we're all in group therapy, and it's now my turn to tell it like it is. And you're all just like going, all right, yeah, we already know this, David. It's you again. You got the microphone again. Those of you who are wondering about these paintings, by the way, I want to thank the Dake Morell family, Deb and Megan Dake Morell, because every Sunday they prepare, or it's prepared before, but every Sunday you'll see different paintings here. They're painted by people who are in their classes, members and friends of this center. Today, though, these that are placed here are not from a friend or a member. It's from someone who's no longer alive, the aunt of Mary Jo Garrett. See, Mary Jo Garrett's aunt passed away. Was she 87? She was 87 years old. And Dick, who was the executor of the estate, he and Mary Jo went through the house of Mary Jo's late great-aunt Pat. And what they found were about 200 canvases, not all over the house, but under the beds and in closets and in cupboards. And they pulled out these canvases, and these were just some of them that were just hidden away. So this aunt secretly had this passion to paint, but she never let anybody see them. So Dick and Mary Jo went, what are we going to do with like 200 canvases? So they donated them to us. So some of them will display here, and others, the students of this center who maybe will not have the money to buy these canvases, which are hugely expensive. They'll paint over them, and it'll be like a doubly great masterpiece, because they'll be the masterpiece painted by a member or friend of this center now, but underneath it will be Mary Jo's late great-aunt Pat. Let me tell you about Pat just a little bit, because she could have been a member of this place. First off, she calls herself an atheist. Now, if she was an atheist, that's the first requirement of membership here. See, you must be an atheist. You must really question that Big Daddy in the sky exists. You must go, I'm a little bit skeptical about that. This God sounds a lot like Santa Claus, see? It's making a list and checking it twice and gonna find out if you're naughty or nice. That's what God is doing. And then you're running around in your life, whether, feeling pious or wondering whether or not you can walk that straight and narrow path. I'm not walking any path that's straight, but narrow it will be. So I'll walk that path. Wow. This is just messed up. So I want to tell you about my Aunt Pat Cheney Coleman. It is her artwork on the stage this morning, and she passed away 2 years ago at 87 after living a full life of social justice, courage, and quiet yet prolific creative expression. In addition to being a mom and a grandma, she was a stage manager on Broadway. She was a pioneer hospice volunteer and an AIDS activist. She was a nuclear disarmament protester, both in the United States and in the United Kingdom, and her arrests were her badges of honor. The last 20 years of her life were in San Francisco, where she really settled into a contented life of studying painting. She was writing for Mother Tongue and playing golf and softball and screaming at those right-wing anythings. She actively supported many LGBT causes and most definitely was not shy from would not shy away from espousing her opinions. Although she called herself an atheist, her artistic expression was her spirit voice. She just didn't know, and now she does. So Mary Jo and Dick, thank you so much for donating those guys. I love her already. So where were we? Oh, we were talking about silence, which I... Yeah, I know, with a lot of words. It's a lot of words to talk about silence. So our monthly topic has been silence. That's the spiritual practice that we are studying. There's another person in this room that I want to acknowledge. Well, there's two. One, I want to acknowledge right now who's hosting our live stream from the center. He's sitting in another room. He is right now acting as minister for the live stream people. So when live stream people sign in, they're going to go, well, who is that guy on stage right now? And Max will say who's here. Or they might say, why is there 2 minutes of silence? And Max will write to them. I want to acknowledge that we kind of have a minister of our live stream, and his co-minister would be Max Overland and Ann Stayskull in Oregon. Would you help me thank those two people? Thank you. But we have another person in this room that I have history with. When I was the assistant minister at North Hollywood Church of Religious Science back in the late 90s, I was invited to take a letter of call, a contract with the denomination's home office in Los Angeles. And so I left North Hollywood. And then North Hollywood brought in a ministerial intern, and she then became a minister at Agape and was responsible for the Agape International Center of Truth's youth department. And she took care of 200 kids every Sunday. And she's here visiting us right now. And I just want to acknowledge my colleague and my beloved Reverend Nancy Zala. Would you stand up so we can see you? Good to have you here. Silence. We were talking about the silence. So, when we took on the annual theme of Living the Science of Mind, Practice Makes Permanent, the leadership team created an annual exploration of that. So every month we would study a new spiritual practice. So January we studied prayer, and in February we studied a new way of fasting, and in March we studied meditation, and so on. In November we're looking at silence, and I thought, this is excellent. Finally I'm going to catch up with all my mental work. So I thought, I'm going to really sit down for at least an hour every day, and in that hour I can bring sense to my crazy mind. And so I would sit down with enthusiasm, and I'd think, oh, okay, now I can really put it all in order. And so I have a whole hour to just think of nothing except the stuff that I really want to think about. But I didn't realize that what I was missing was the potential that existed in a moment of silence, because I was too busy filling up the silence with my plans. So I would make these like plans, and it would be like today. Here's what it would be like today. Yep, God's here. And I'm so glad that when this service is over, I'm going to meet with some other friends, and we're going to go watch the new Hunger Games movie, and then I really want popcorn, but I've been eating so well. Maybe I should just bring in fruits and vegetables, but they tell you not to bring any outside food, but I'm going to bring it in anyway because they charge way too much money for those movies. And so I'm going to sit there and hopefully nobody will notice that I'm eating outside food and vegetables. Oh, quiet. I'm being quiet. Speaking of food, I smell bacon. Who's cooking bacon? I smell bacon in the building. And then I think, no, I smell sausage gravy. Oh, quiet. Here's what I'm learning about quiet. I am hungry, not just for bacon and white gravy, which, by the way, Mike in the kitchen today made a gravy so thick, I put a fork in it and it stood up. Any gravy that can keep a fork standing up is my kind of gravy. I'm thinking that gravy is a food group. That gravy was a beverage. It needed one of those straws, but the kind you get in those with the jelly balls. I need that kind for the sausage that come up with it. The vegetarian. I'm sure it's vegetarian sausage from organic soy. I'm sure it's organic soy vegetarian sausage. Wow. I have totally not touched my notes. I don't have to write a sermon next week because I already got one. Here's what I've learned about silence. I'm so busy keeping things full, like practice your spiritual practice and read this book and take it all on. I'm so busy doing that I'm missing the gaps in which God lives. But I won't experience God, even though I'm hungry to experience God, because I'm too busy telling God what's not working or begging God to step in. And I won't experience, by the way, if you want to know what's keeping you from God, do you guys want to know? I know you guys know God. I get that. I get it. Maybe you know someone who's not experiencing God and you don't know how to articulate your holiness. So let me help you. The thing that's keeping you from a real experience, moving from theory of the thing itself, moving it down into an experience, is complaints. Complaints and resentments and hostilities and upsets. You know why? Because when you are in complaining, you are not in the now moment. When you are complaining, you are only in the future or the past. Think about it. When you're complaining about how things should be, ought to be, must be, have to be, will be, and so it is. You're declaring all those things as they should be and only as they should be because you're complaining right now how it's not compared to how it should be. Or you're in the past. You're complaining about how now is because the past was, or how now ought to be because the past should have been, and so on. We're not in the now. And in the now moment is when we will experience the sweetness of the thing itself. So all the while, we're complaining that God's not present, but our complaints are keeping us from getting that it's present. It causes us from not being able to experience it because we're not open to the experience of it because we're too busy broadcasting. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Please tell me I'm not the only one. So our book of the month is called Stillness Speaks by Eckhart Tolle. And I know it's pronounced Tolle because I Googled it. Did any of you ever wonder? He pronounces it Eckhart Tolle. And Eckhart Tolle has written this book that I have to tell you, get this book. Get this book. I rarely actually say, you need to get this book. But not just get it because you need to have something to prop up that dining table leg that's a little wobbly. Or not just get it because you want to have leave something on the nightstand for your tricks so they think you're smart and holy. But get it because I told you so, as my mother said. Why? Because I said so. Because there is some great and glorious wisdom, and each bits of wisdom in here, I mean, I'm like writing all over in this book because it's really stirred me. In this book, just in 4 pages, chapter 10, I learned that true freedom is to live in such a way that you treat whatever's around you as if you actually chose it. If you want to be liberated from whatever's haunting you, stop being a victim to it and live as if you actually chose it. In this book, we learn that suffering is necessary and is not necessary. Suffering is necessary in that it softens you, and it sweetens you, and it opens you, and it broadens you, and it makes you more susceptible to joy because you have been to hell, because you now know what hell is like. It's the difference between spirituality and religion. Religion is for people afraid of hell. Spirituality is for those who have been there. In this book, we learn that unhappiness needs to have a me with a story. With no me and no story, there is no unhappiness. Unhappiness also needs time. Unhappiness has to have the future or the past. Unhappiness is never about right now, because right now is only about breathing. And right now is the gap in which the thing itself lives. But we don't experience right now because we're always in the future or in the past. What we learn in this book is that situations don't make you unhappy. Situations may cause you physical pain, but your thoughts cause you unhappiness. What we learn in this book is that pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Suffering to me has a physical model. And that model has best been represented by the person who at one time put a piece of Velcro right here and another one here, and they fixed it right there like that. Rip. What we learn in this book is that your complaints keep you from God. And what we learn in this book is if you want to meet God, there really is one key. Stop resisting evil. When you resist not evil, as Christian and Jewish scriptures will tell you, you will experience the thing itself. When you stop resisting, I know that's a double negative. When you stop resisting evil, whatever that evil is, and you just let whatever pain is to be, just allow it to be. And when you don't name it or label it as evil or awful or bad or what oughtn't be, when you can just let your pain be what your pain is, then the thing itself begins making itself known. Then you are really out of your mind. Then you are beginning to have a holy moment. So suffering is best shown in metaphor. Many of you have heard this before. I know those of you online have heard this before. About a young teenager who was suffering. And she was suffering so because she just broke up with her boyfriend, and you know when you're a teenager, that is the end of the universe. Her best friend is moving away, and she's flunking algebra. And she went to see her mother because she's suffering. Mom, my life is not working. And her mother says, oh, honey, I know. Do you want some cake? Because the mother's mixing. Do you want some cake? And the little girl says, oh, yes, mother, I'd love some cake. Your cake always makes me feel better. And the mother says, here, have a spoonful of oil. Oil, ugh. Oh, no, okay, don't have the oil. Here, have a spoonful of flour. Delicious. No, that's gross. Well, how about a spoonful of salt? No, salt, gross. How about some baking soda? The mother says, oh, Mom, that's awful. And the mother says, yes, I know. On their own. Oil on its own, ooh. Salt, ooh. Flour, ooh. Baking soda by itself, ooh. But put them together, and they create a delicious cake. Your suffering on its own, ooh. But put it together with all the other ingredients of life, and it makes a delicious life. The Kiwi chick of New Zealand. A lot of folks think that when you nickname a New Zealander as a Kiwi, you're thinking about the fruit, kiwi fruit. No. We're talking about a bird that's native to New Zealand. It's called the kiwi. And the kiwi is a very funny-looking, amazing creature with very long legs and a long beak. But the kiwi has a unique history in that it's different than other birds. It doesn't have something called an egg tooth. An egg tooth is a little bit of a spur on the inside of a bird's beak that it uses to peck its way and pull its way out of its shell. The kiwi chick does not have that. When it's time for the kiwi to make its emergence from its shell into the world as we know it, it begins a long and arduous 3-day period of what some would call suffering. It peck, 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 crack, 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 jiggle, jiggle, jiggles, struggles, pushes, and finally with the tip of its beak is able to push a tiny little bit out of the shell and take its first breath. And now it's exhausted, and it goes back to resting. And any of us in this room that are PETA members, we would be hugely upset at the creator of the universe. We would sue God itself for causing such suffering in this animal. That should never be. We would write a newsletter article about this. That should not happen. And I don't mean this to disrespect PETA at all, but we need to have perspective. That little chick then kicks and cracks and pushes and wobble, 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 until it's exhausted again. And sometimes it goes back to sleep for 12 or even 24 hours. If you're watching this, you would want to rescue it. You would want to crack that shell and help it out right away, but that would certainly be its demise because something is happening in the struggle. In the struggle, that kiwi is developing the muscles necessary to live, not just survive on life support, but to live. And if we were to interfere with the process of what we might label as struggle, when it isn't struggle, it's merely pain. Struggle is our declaration of what is simply pain. But what happens in what we would call the struggle is the development of that which is necessary for a fruitful life. So I invite you to consider that. If you've got something that is considered struggle, maybe right now you're like the kiwi chick and you're developing some kind of muscles that will really help you in this world. Or if you're experiencing struggle or sadness, don't try to taste it, the bitterness of it, all by itself, but put it back into the melange and the salad that is your life and find that you have something delicious and calorie-free. In closing, I'm sorry to tell you that this book sold out between services. But our bookstore goddess, Pearl Vickers, has promised me that if anybody wants to pre-purchase this book today, you'll get today's special 30% off. Today, by the way, is the pre-Black Friday sale. So if you want to stay, Reverend Susan will tell you more about that. Anything else? Do you like this tie? I love this tie. So, in closing, Troy, would you come and give me Troy? Is Troy with Dave? Who's going to let Dave know that I praised his glories today? Excellent. All you people, don't put your hand down if he can't be flooded enough with praise. Wow, I need a martini and a cigarette. Do you guys, oh, yeah, totally. And a boa, that's a little too gay. Even for me. I know what I want. I want you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Yeah, and help us out. The prayer we're going to do today is the affirmation prayer. The one, God is, I am, I know, I am grateful. Do you guys know the body language that the kids do with this? Reverend Susan, you know it, right? Does anybody know? God is, I am, I know, I am grateful, I release and let it go. Do any of you remember that one? Wow, look at me. I look like Jesus on a cross.
Christ on a cracker.
Without those beautiful abs. She's telling me, Susan's going, get off the stage, get off the stage. I know. Cirque du Soleil is the center of the universe. You know, I want you to help me by remembering if anything goes on in your life this week that's causing suffering, don't panic. Stay calm. And the way we can stay calm is to go, oh. Troy, can we have the music for the melody for that song?
God
Susan.
Hi, if the ushers could please come forward. This is the time in our service where we share our gifts, our tithes, and our offerings. If you're a visitor, please just bless the basket when it passes by you. We have no expectation that you give. Just as David says, don't take anything out. And please say our giving affirmation: the more joy I share, the more joy is coming to me. The more love I share, the more love is coming to me. The more peace I share, the more peace is coming to me. The more abundance I share, the more abundance is coming to me. As I give, I receive. As I radiate, I attract.
Now, a lot of you will know this song, so I want you to sing. Okay? Deal? Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. This truly has been a magnificent, really transformational day for our center. So I know that we ran a little bit over. I'm so excited. But I'm going to ask your indulgence. We're going to go through the tags very quickly, and then I'm going to ask if you would be willing to stay while we install our newest members. It's brief, it's beautiful, and it would be your show of your support for them. And then, so right now for announcements, immediately following the service, we will have a new member reception. So please join us in Fellowship Hall, have some light refreshments, and give all of our new people a hug. Michelle, they are committed. Yeah. At 12:30 today-ish, right here in the sanctuary, there will be a visioning series. So please come to that if you'd like to sit here and be in the stillness and the beautiful questions of visioning. As David mentioned, if you do not want to experience the vortex that is 280 in Stevens Creek next Friday, you could actually shop today in your very own gift shop. There, everything, all of the merchandise, books, it's all 30% off. So that's a beautiful gift from our gift shop manager. 6 p.m. tonight is our evening service. Again, the title is Suffering and the End of Suffering. This Wednesday night is one of my favorite nights ever. I happen to have in my hand a bowl. And so this Wednesday night, it's our Thanksgiving Eve service, which actually begins at 7. But at 5:30, we're going to have our Fill the Bowls event. Or our Bowls of Thanksgiving, event, and our members have donated soup and bread. We have volunteers, and the tickets are only $10. You can come and have a beautiful soup dinner, and then stay for the service at 7, facilitated by David. And the bowls have been on auction. This is one of the beautiful bowls that was made for the silent auction, which does end today after service. If you wanted to bid on any of the bowls, now's your chance. I don't know. It says best soup ever. Who do you think? This is David's. He made that, and you can bid on it. A best soup ever. And Friday night, the 29th. Is that this Friday? Yeah, that's this Friday, the 29th. The Women's Ministry is holding their Eat, Play, Love event. They're meeting at 5:45-ish at Maggiano's to avoid hunger, because then they're going to see the Hunger Games. So rather than chew on one another's arms, they're going to have dinner first at Maggiano's, and then they're going to see the Hunger Games. So please join them. Talk to Julia Mary Smith. She's right there waving in the back. And she'll be outside if you have questions in Fellowship Hall. On December 8th, if you would like to be part of the team that stands at those doors every Sunday and greets and smiles and hugs and welcomes. You know, you all came here at one point and got a hug by an awesome person. If you'd like to be an usher or greeter here at the center, we're having a training on December 8th. And then on December 10th at 7 o'clock in the morning, Dr. David is hosting his Better Business Brown Bag. The topic is satisfaction. He is going to dress up like Mick Jagger and sing and... No. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. He's got jeans. Yes, that should be fun. That should really be fun. I tried to get Adam Levine to sing, but we got David instead. The other sexiest man alive. And on December 13th, the Global Heart Concert is happening. I'm so excited. I'm actually coming back from Disneyland a day early because I'm not going to miss the Global Heart Concert. And that's on the 13th at 8 p.m. On the 14th, we are having our kids' fun night. That's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. So parents, if you have children and you would like to drop them here for the evening so that you could maybe finish up your, shopping or, get the things wrapped or whatever you need to do in those 3 hours without your kids, okay? Just don't tell us. Really, please, don't even post videos. But you can bring the kids here from 6 to 9 p.m. and we will take care of them so that you have a night, at least 3 hours without them. And on the 15th, our education ministry, headed up by the beautiful Doris Hoffman, is hosting an education open house. We're so excited. We've never done this before. It's going to be up in the Ernest Holmes room. It's your opportunity to come and hear about our adult education, all of the classes we offer. You can meet the facilitators and really chart the course for your continuing education in this spiritual practice. And on our outreach for November, I think this is the last Sunday to fill the barrels for those in need. You can bring a non-perishable food item. Barbara's here. I just noticed you. Hi, Barbara. And I think that's it. I have one thing while Marcia Bencala comes up, our core council chair. I wanted to take a moment to tell you that if I lived to be 150 years old, I could never repay this community for what happened on Friday evening. I am deeply blessed and so grateful. If you didn't get a chance to be here, go out to the live stream and watch the video. It was remarkable, and I love you, and I figured out I could write thank you cards from now until doomsday, but instead I'm going to thank you all by being the minister that you deserve. So thank you. So it's over there on, oh no, it's right here. Okay, so now we would like to install our new members. Please hold your applause until all the names have been called. The following people have dedicated themselves to the mission of this Center for Spiritual Living.
Gail Adams, please stand. Kim Austin. Connie Berliner. Martha Bogdanoff. Robin Brack. Kelly Green. Rebecca Dickinson. Michael Dwayne. Shailene Foland. Mary Ellen Crizel. Nancy Wynn. Douglas Irvin. William Jameson. Les Lindop. Sue Love. Diane Malone. Beverly Pastorino. Madeline Tapia. Janine Vascio. And Dave Woodrow.
If our new members would please remain standing. I ask, do you come here today of your own free will, conscious of your decision to commit yourself and to commit to yourself and to the spiritual community? If so, please say, I do. Any core council members here, would you please rise? And as core council, you are the stewards and the delegates of this congregation. As such, do you vote affirmatively to accept these new member candidates into the official membership of this spiritual community? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
As the core remains standing, I ask any of our practitioners in the house to please stand. I ask, do you promise to spiritually support, remind, pray with, counsel, and love unconditionally these new members? If so, please say, I do. And as the core and the practitioners remain standing, I would ask all of our staff, full-time, part-time support staff, to please rise. And I ask you, do you promise to open your minds and hearts and arms to these new members? And will you commit to serve them to the best of your ability with your time and attention, treating them as if they were the true presence of God? If so, please say, I do. I do. And everyone else present today, core, practitioner, staff, all of our members and friends, please stand. Do you agree to lovingly support each of these new members in their decision to love, honor, and accept themselves as divine beings? If so, please say, I do. I do. Do you welcome them into your spiritual community, and do you commit to do your best to show them that they are honored, valued, and noticed? If so, please say, I do. Thank you. If everyone would be seated except the new members. New members, please remain standing.
New members, do you promise to make your spiritual practice a priority? If so, please say, I do. Will you share of your time, your talent, and your treasure to ensure the success of this spiritual community? If so, please say, I do. Do you dedicate yourself to God in all you think, all that you say, and all that you do, seeking always a greater expression of your spiritual nature? If so, please say, I do. Recognizing that you have each consented to be renewed in attitude and love for who you really are, and have witnessed the same before Spirit and each other, by the authority vested in us by the membership of this church, we now pronounce you to be official members, oh my gosh, of the San Jose Center for Spiritual Living. Friends, please help me welcome these newest members into our spiritual home.
The hand of the person on your right and on your left, and in a moment, repeat after me. But before we do, two things. If there's anything going on in your life that is causing suffering and you'd like to leave it here today, take advantage of our licensed practitioners who will pray it into transformation for you. Just have a seat under the windows and they will do that. It's quick and it's anonymous. Yeah, that was it. Please repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. Something wonderful is happening as me right now. It's this thing called life. It's this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in my body. Life is in my relationships. Life is in my relationships. Life is in my finances. Life is in my finances. Life is in Reverend Susan's ministry. Life is in Reverend Susan's ministry. Life is in our music ministry. Life is in our music ministry. Life is in Aunt Pat's paintings. Life is in Aunt Pat's paintings. I see it. I think it. I feel it. I accept it. I express it just the way that it is and just the way that it is not. Thank you, life.